ジョジョとキスをしたのかい？まだだよな。初めての相手はジョジョではない。殺してやった。
Hello everyone. Today we're going to be looking at beginner and intermediate chess. If you have never played chess before, stick around from the beginning. There are timestamps in the description so you can skip to whatever level you're at. So before we start, let me show you what the chessboard looks like. There's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you've probably figured out that there are 64 squares, 32 shaded ones, and 32 white ones. In chess, there's notation. So E4, this is E4 because it comes across the column E and the row 4. So all these pieces here are called the pawns. These two here are called the rooks. These two here are called the knights or the horses, as some people like to call them. These two are called the bishops or the elephants. This one's called the queen, and this one's called the king. The king is the most important piece out of all because the aim of the game is for your king to survive, and if your king doesn't, then you lose the game. So now let's look at how all the pieces move. So first let's start with the pawns. The pawns move 2 squares forward in their first turn. After that, they can move 1 square forward. And they can capture pieces diagonally. Let me show you an example. So let's say that this pawn is here, and this pawn is here, and it's white's turn to play here. White can capture this pawn. Let me show you another example. Let's say that this pawn is here, this pawn is here, and this pawn is here, and there's a pawn here, and it's black's turn. In this example, black can actually capture this pawn, white can capture black's pawn, and this is how pawns move. So now let's look at how rooks move. So rooks can move vertically or horizontally. So let's see this example. The rook is here. It can move anywhere along this column or anywhere along this row. And rooks can also capture pieces horizontally or vertically. So in this example, this rook can capture this rook. Let me show you another example. Let's say this is the rook. This rook can actually capture this rook vertically, and if it's black's turn, black can capture white's rook. And that's how rooks work. So the knights are very special pieces. Let me show you how they move. They can move 2 spaces in any direction, and then 1 space right or left. So this knight can actually move here or here. They can actually jump over pieces. So they can jump over pawns, they can jump over queens, kings, they can jump over all the pieces. So let me show you an example. Here, you can move the knight here, but you won't do that because the pawn can simply take. Another example, let me show you another example. In this example, you can take this pawn, but the bishop can take. So now let me show you how the bishop moves. So this setup is in a common opening, which is often played, and here the bishops move diagonally, so they can move here, 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 or here. Let me just change up the position. If this is the exact position and it's white to play, the bishops could also move here or here. So let me set up an example. So now that you guys know how knights work, okay, this is the position. White to play. Can you guess what the best move is? Yep. It's knight takes f7. And here the king can't take back the knight because the bishop is protecting. So if if there is a white piece which comes along the other piece of the attack, it's protected and it can't be taken by the king. It can be taken by other pieces. So let's say if the knight were to be here, this knight could have taken this. Okay, so now let's learn how the queen moves. So the queen is the most powerful of all pieces, and it has the most variety of where it can move. So let me just show you guys. So let's say that the queen is on the center of the board. The queen can actually move where the rook moves and the bishop moves. So it can move horizontally, vertically, and diagonally. And the queen can also capture vertically, horizontally, and diagonally. So if you look at this position here, let's say this is the position. Let me just set it up like this. It's white to play. Can you find the winning move here? Queen takes f7, and as I told you earlier, the king can't take back because the queen is protected through the bishop, and this is a checkmate. The king simply has nowhere to go. It can't do anything. And now let's learn about the king. So the king is very basic. It can move left, right. It can move one square left, one square right, one square up, one square down, one square diagonally. So the king, earlier I said that the king was the most important piece of the game, and that's because if the king gets checkmated, and a checkmate is when the king is in check and there's nowhere to go. I'm going to explain what a check is later. You lose the game. So now let's talk about what checks are. Checks are when the king is directly like in the path of the opposing piece's attack. So here the king is in check. Let me show you again. Here the king is in check. But in this position it's not a great worry because we can simply take with our pawn, or as you guys know, with our knight. Because the knight can move two pieces up and one piece left. So that's how the pieces move. So now about how many points each piece is. The pawns are 1 point, the knights are 3 points, the bishops are 3 points, the rooks are 5 points, the queens are 9 points, and we can say the king is unlimited because it's the most important piece. Okay, so now let's have a short quiz. So let's start. What's the only piece which can jump over other pieces? Pause the video. If you said the knight, you're correct. Remember, knights are the only pieces which can move over other pieces. Okay, what are the only pieces that you lose when they are checkmated? Pause the video. If you said the king, you're right. The king is the most important piece in the game. And lastly, what's the least important piece in the game? Pause the video. If you said the pawn, you're right. And now, this is for the intermediate chess players. So now let's look at openings. Openings are very important when you're playing good opponents. So I'm going to show you guys 2 openings which I personally love to play. So first let's look at the king's pawn opening. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, knight f6. Now, the knight's attacking your pawn, so we have to defend. So knight c3. Now, most opponents play bishop c5 and castle. And this is called the Italian or the king's pawn opening. And let me show you the second opening. So, let me just bring all the pieces back. Okay, the second opening which I'm about to show you is called the Roy Lopez. So on the Roy Lopez you play e4, e5, knight f3, knight f5, and here we play bishop e5, and we're attacking the knight, and when the opponent plays h6, we usually play a4. If the opponent continues to attack a bishop with the move b5, we move bishop b3. If he wants to trap our bishop, so if he does the move a5, there'll be many options. So we could play, if you guys didn't see this, the objective is to play a4, but if he plays a4, we can always move here. So some opponents don't worry about it, and they just play something like d3, where they're developing the bishop in the next move, or the castle. However, some opponents like to play the move a4 or a3, because now if he goes a4, they can move back to a2. However, this is very passive. So now for all you intermediate learners, let's look at endgames, and I'm going to show you two endgames: the double rook ending and the king and pawn ending. And the king and pawn ending is a bit harder, so let's look at the double rook ending. And here we can do something which I love to do. It's called the ladder method. So let's say it's white to play, we do this. Okay, the king's going to come closer. We're going to do this. He's going to move away. He's going to try to come closer every time. So we're going to do this. He can't come closer because our king's there. We do this. Then he goes here. And our king's blocking everything, and it's being a spot for it. So let's just move our king out of the way before the final blow. So this. So he moves here, and now this move. And it's the game. The king can't move anywhere. And let me show you some other examples. Let's put the king here because I don't want it to. This is a harder one usually for people to play. Here, instead of doing this, which is going to blunder our rook, we do a waiting move. So looking at waiting moves, we could do something like, in this position, it's black to play. Black's going to do something like this. We can do that. Black has to move up here, and we can move to the other side as far away from the king. And now he's going to move closer. And now we do the same thing, so you get an idea of what we're doing. So I'm just going to show you guys what's going to happen in your game if your opponent plays accurately. And there you go, it's a mate. Okay, so this is the position. It's kings and pawns ending. And can you find the winning move? Pause the video. Okay, so if you guys said c6, you're wrong. It's actually not the best move here, because see, the king's gonna go here, and let's say we go back here, he's gonna go here, there, there, and we just can't promote it to drop our repetition. So that's the absolute blunder. Don't play that in your games, please. The best move here is actually king d7, because we block the king from going here, and he can't attack our pawn either, so he's just gonna move away, and we can slowly get our queen. So once we got our queen, we try to shorten down the area which he has. So let me just slowly do that. And you keep on doing that until you get a position which looks like this or this, and you've trapped the king. And yeah, that's how you win in a king's pawn endgame.